Good morning. It's Tim and Ginny from DS Tech. Go to dstech.net and make sure you grab our newsletter. I actually wrote a pretty good one the other day.
Oh, nice.
It had a lot of information in it this time. It's a work in progress. Okay, so
Transitioning from one platform to the other.
Exactly.
I'm sure you've all dealt with that. And
we're in the middle, so I kind of have to write a little bit. So it's interesting. You might like my writing. I don't know. Anyway, you'll like the information because I share lots of information on how to protect yourself, different productivity tips, stuff like that. So today we're going to discuss some of the major security breaches of 2022. So it's kind of like we're saying goodbye to 2022.
Yep.
Maybe 2023 will be safer.
I'm optimistic, sure, but the way things are, it's a never-ending battle.
Yeah, it is, which is why we're here, right?
Yep.
So we have a few major
So
security breaches to talk about.
some different events where you hear, I always hear in the news, oh, so-and-so was hacked, customer data was lost, all that kind of typical buzzwords you hear. So we'll just go through some of them and then things that you could possibly do as a business to help mitigate that, or you as a customer, if your data is compromised in a business, what can you do, to try to, help mitigate it, that kind of stuff. So we'll go into some of those details. So the first one off the list here we have is there's the crypto.com crypto theft, and you always hear exchange thefts. There's you could probably pick a dozen of them from 2022. Ultimately, what happens is that a hacker hacks the exchange, which is just an online place where they store your coins, and trade and all that kind of stuff. Like Coinbase is a common one in the U.S. And how they exploited this one is they got past the two-factor system within the actual website itself. So if you log into crypto.com and I'm trying to send my grandma money, what it does is after I hit send, it asks you for the two-factor that you're probably used to using on your phone. Hey, enter the 6-digit code, or you get a text message. So it's supposed to send you a confirmation of, hey, do you really want to send this money? And they figured out a way to bypass that. So they were just sending people's money to themselves without the people even knowing it. So I guess
I didn't even know that was possible.
So my thought with that is the overall, I guess you could say, phrase in cryptology is like, if it's not your keys, it's not your coins. Meaning if you don't hold the private and public key to your cryptocurrency, you're not really the true owner of it. And a lot of people, what they do is they use a custodial account. So if you buy, say, your Bitcoin on Coinbase and you leave it on Coinbase, Coinbase technically has the private key to that. And so unless you took it from Coinbase and put it onto your own wallet on your computer where you had both private and public key, technically if someone hacked Coinbase, they might be able to hack your money. Now, a lot of places like that have insurance, and they might say you're protected up to so much, and that's what crypto.com did. Is after this hack, they reimbursed all their customers, so it's not like the customers lost their money. They had to eat the cost and pay out for their hack because it was their vulnerability. Yep. And they also implemented an insurance thing where you're protected up to $250,000 on their exchange or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Whoever you're giving information to, whether it's your money, whether it's your information, it's ultimately on them to protect that. So just if you want to truly own your own security on yourself, otherwise trust the other people. It's when it comes to cryptocurrency, I'm always of the one that if you are getting into it, really take the time to learn it and store it yourself. And then what I like to do is do a backup of it. So say you're storing your cryptocurrency in your own computer, do a disaster recovery exercise where pretend you lost your computer, go onto another computer and see if you can recover your Bitcoin, do it. Because in the event that you do that and you have $100,000 in Bitcoin, your emotions are a little bit high, you might be freaking out. So practice with like $5 or $10 first. And once you get really good with that, it doesn't matter how much money you're doing, it's all the same process. So
that's an interesting point. I don't want to go down the hole, but disaster recovery is a
huge.
Major topic.
When you do have anything like this, we do that with our customers too. Have tabletop exercises. Think about, what if a hurricane hits your business and you lose your storefront and everything? What are you going to do? Or, around here we don't have so much hurricanes, but like, what if you had lost power? Or up here it's a big snowstorm and all the branches are down on a bank, or different things like that. We can do different kind of.
I actually remember
in practice
when we first started talking disaster recovery plans.
Yep.
It was after 9/11.
Okay.
Because obviously major disaster. So we're like, well, what would we do?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With all our servers in the same building.
Yep.
So that's when we started. I remember Pete starting to document and create disaster recovery plans.
Right. So yeah,
So,
part of great part of
anyway,
e-business.
that's a whole nother topic.
Yes,
We will definitely
we got to
visit
try to
it.
get back into the security breaches here. So, so other than
Sorry.
the crypto one, yeah, we'll diverge from that. The next one that I've seen all over the place, and a lot of the times this comes with just using a free VPN service. So I'll get in that in a little bit. But so there is a Super VPN, Gecko VPN, and Chat VPN, which the data of some 21 million users across 3 different VPN services was all stolen. And subsequently, it was basically just leaked on the hacker web, where it's got the email addresses, full name, password, payment information, and the account status. So my first thought with this is, if you're using a VPN, get a no-log VPN, which means that they don't.
Could you
Sorry, go ahead.
Also, in case there's somebody on here that doesn't know what a VPN is?
Oh, it's just a virtual private network. So yes, so if you're browsing the internet and you don't want everyone to see what you are, basically you can mask your identity, and it says that you're connecting from a different location, a different server. So when you're browsing the web, you're doing it kind of anonymously, in a sense.
I use them when I'm in public places.
Yes.
So
if you're on McDonald's Wi-Fi or
Yeah.
something, and you got a VPN on your phone, turn your VPN on before you connect, so that way it just helps protect your stuff there.
Thank you.
So the thing with the VPN is sometimes you see them offered as free. Well, realistically, if it's a free service, why are they doing this for completely free pro bono? Realistically, the ones that are free are the ones that are taking your information and then possibly selling it or using it, in other purposes. So I always pay for a VPN. They're super cheap anyway. It's like $4 a month usually. The one I use is private internet access because it's all open source, but I think NordVPN is a no-log one too. There's a couple out there. So just do your due diligence. Make sure it's a no-log VPN, because that way, if the VPN gets hacked, your data isn't going to be leaked out there as well. That's the biggest thing. So if it's a VPN, it should be a no-log VPN. And so that's.
And before we started diving into this, we did talk a little bit about free software in general.
Yeah, just
right
with like the phishing scams, because a lot of times people want to get those free coupon apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Download this coupon app and you'll save 40% on all your money or whatever it is. A lot of times those free apps or those free things, just do your job to vet them, because sometimes they could be too good to be true.
Maybe I just asked the question, why is it free? Right?
Yeah. If it's free, typically there's the old saying, it's like, if it's free, guess what? You're probably the product, or something like that. So that's usually your data they're after when it's free. And then what they'll do is they'll sell it to marketing or advertisers, hey,
In general, though, you could get software for free that only gives you minimal,
Yep.
and there's an upgrade path. So when you answer the question, why is it free? It's because you get to try it before
That's
you
true.
buy
Yeah,
it.
if they're offering full-fledged every feature is free, that's more of a red flag, because a lot of software does do that, where download our software, try it for 30 days, and if you like it, you can get this feature and it's extra stuff by paying the licensing. That's totally legitimate. Lots of software companies do that because the idea is you get to rent it before you buy it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the idea, and to entice you. So that is common, but it's more when
But in general,
if everything is free, all the features, and it seems weird and everything else is paid that's similar, just be leery of that free software.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's a couple different breaches. They got a FlexBooker data breach, 100, MetaBank had a breach. All these different breaches are basically the same thing, where they're storing customer data in some sort of database, and it all gets released to a hacker breaks in through the network and just downloads all the data and then releases it on the dark web, hoping for a payday. Where a lot of times these hackers, they'll be like, we have 20 million customer records, we'll sell them all to you for X amount of money, and they don't even go through it or try to do anything with it. They're just taking the data and selling it to someone who may try to go through that data and act upon it. So like with the FlexBooker data breach, it was full name, email address, phone number, ID, driver's license, and passwords. With the medical one and the Australian one, that one's even worse, because not only did they have the first, last name, surnames, address, date of birth, gender, email, phone number, client ID, and that one had all your medical card information. That one was still under investigation at the time of this article with the Australian police too, and so they're still investigating some of these hacks, because clearly it's a huge issue if all your data's out there, and then you feel it's like, oh, my data's out there, what do I do? And it's like, well, a lot of that stuff, there's not really a whole lot you can do other than be diligent with it. I know there's some places that offer like services where you can pay, and they'll kind of look at your stuff to see if someone's trying to open accounts in your name and things like that. I do know there's certain, I don't know off the top of my head which services offer that, but there are services you can use where they'll see like,
Credit Karma?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Credit Karma. I know there's like Aurora, I think is one. There's a couple. You basically sign up, and it's if someone tries to open a credit card in your name, they'll notify you, or they try to take out a new loan in your name. Anytime something happens in your name, you can get notified. And if you're worried your information's out there and people are trying to basically pretend they're you. And
if you do find that people are trying to use it, you can put freezes on your.
Yeah, put freezes on your account. Obviously, notify the authorities. Hey, I'm getting payments from here, and try to work with them, give them the information so they clearly can track down the scammers that are doing it. But realistically, the problem lies in a lot of these companies, and the best thing you can do to try to prevent it is be very leery of who you save your information with. A lot of times you can't help it, like with the medical provider. I'm sure with the hospital, it's like you have to give them all that information. Mm-hmm. But if you're purchasing something on a website and there's a little checkbox that says save my information for next time, if you don't need to do that, don't check that box, because what happens is that information now is stored in a database, and now they're in charge of keeping it secure, which is if someone wants to hack into you and they have enough time and resources, chances are they're going to hack into you. It's just a matter of making your company so hard to hack into that it's not worth their time. They're going to go to the next company. So it's
right.
The way things are now. It's just like if someone really is trying and they really are just at it. I mean, it's the way this technology is you just can't. There's no such thing as realistically, 100% secure. It's just more being 99.9% secure. So that way they're going to go down to the next house.
Part of the reason why you're not 100% secure is because
it's always changing. There's new security breaches, and then we keep constantly plugging the holes, and it's constant whack-a-mole.
And sometimes users will click a link. Oops.
Yes. That as well. Exactly.
It happens, right? So the biggest threat is our phishing, which we've gone over.
Yeah, and then that's when 130 companies were compromised in this huge sophisticated phishing breach, where there's this group that basically went through, tried to phish all these Cloudflare, DoorDash, Twilio, all these different services, and they did a pretty good job of getting in there trying to get credentials, because what they did is they made a fake website that looked like the normal logins they would use. And so when they get an email that's like, oh, hey, log in here to double check your status, they click the link and it looks like the normal one they're used to. So they enter their information, and now that information is gone. So if anything ever happens in phishing, the number one immediate thing to do is change your password before you even, if you think you've been phished or you click the link, if you know how to do it, change your password. Let your staff or at IT that can change your password know to change your password.
Should we say it again?
Yeah, sure.
Don't click the link.
Whether it's the phone or it's in the email, always, if it's saying click here to log in, don't click there to log in. Just go to the website directly, like you're normally used to doing, and log in.
I know we say it over and over again, but it's the most common thing.
Common thing. So
we want you to be safe.
Mm-hmm. And so the same stuff is pretty much breached in most of the data breaches. It's your email, your name, and then your password that you used with that service, which is why they always say do not reuse your password, because if you say your password at Target and you also use it at Walgreens, Walmart, and wherever else you go, if Target ever gets data breached and the hackers have your email and password combination, they're going to go try that at every other place. And if you reuse that password, it's going to be like a master key they can get into all your accounts with. So that's why you use a separate password for every account. As annoying as it is, it's a big thing you can do to mitigate it. Or use a password manager. A lot easier, and you don't have to memorize them as much. So now I guess roping that into obviously what we do at DS Tech. If you're a customer of ours or you own a business and you're keeping customer records and you're worried like, oh no, I don't want hackers to hack my customer data and leak it on the dark web, and now I'm in trouble and liable for all of this, that's where we offer services where we constantly scan your network for security holes. We'll patch them, make sure you're up to date with the latest versions. If you're medical, make sure you're following HIPAA or CISA or whatever your compliance requirement is. We're pretty capable
at
handling
with all of that. Yeah.
So we can definitely help you there.
And email security@dstech.net. Also, if you just go to dstech.net, you can sign up for some of the free assessments and security scans.
They'll do a security scan for free just to show you, where your holes are, and everyone's going to have a hole.
You can take that data and do something with it, or you can have us help you with it. Either way.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
You. Yep.
Worth it. For sure.
There's no obligation for us to fix anything. It's just more of raising your awareness and seeing where you're at.
Yep.
So.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So happy 2023 and bye 2022, I guess. So, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.